Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
For newcomers and old-timers alike, the Chloe Sanctuary hopes to give you insight into the health and happiness of your companion parrots. We hope to help you build happy homes using reliable and proven tools. The best homes are built on a rock-solid foundation. And the best foundation for a happy home is the bedrock of science. When we stand on the shoulders of giants, the scientists who have worked long and diligently to understand our companions, we can reach new heights of understanding. And understanding is the key to success. What does avian veterinary medicine have to tell us about our feathered friends? How can we prevent illness, see the signs of disease before it's too late, and care for our birds through ill health? What light does behavioral science shed on their nature, needs, and hopes? How can the tools of behavior shaping make our homes happier for us and our companions? How can we deal with biting, screaming, or other misbehavior? What is it like to live among parrots? Let them roam around about you and share a life with them. How much freedom do you give them? What happens if you form a bond of trust with them? Watch and see what understanding their true nature can do for you. Come with us on a journey as we do more than examine a parrot's world. We live in it. Make some popcorn and bring in a few wood blocks. Let everyone have something to chew and a comfortable place to perch. Cockatude is a presentation of the Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.
Hi, and welcome to Cockatude, Cockatoos with Attitude, episode 36, A Clean Getaway. Today we're going to talk about cleaning products and weight and a few other things. We're going to mostly focus on cleaning and hi Snowball. Hi. Let me tell you who we have with us today. We have Babaloo and Snowball. 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 Hello. Hello, Snowball. Hello. And we have Cecil, who's up here hiding behind my head. And Peaches. Hi, Peach. Hi, Peach. Oh, Peaches. Oh, Peaches. I know you're not shy. I know you're not shy. This is not a shy girl at all. Hi, Snowball. And we have Salamander down there nesting, which seems to be his thing. He'll probably come over. Hi, Sal. He just looked at me. One of these days I got to get another camera set up, but he's down there nesting. And we have Sugarbird. Hey, Sugar. Sugary girl. Snowball. Snowball. Hello. You gonna tell everybody Snowball? Snowball. 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 Well, the first thing about cleaning that we need to bring up is what... Are you starting to vibrate down there? Oh. First, she has a great shower this morning, which usually she doesn't like to be sprayed. Today she was begging for it like Roman does. And Roman was doing the same thing. I tried to bring him in here as well, and he was flying all over the place. He just didn't... he wanted to be where I was, and it didn't work out, but... he was just a little too wild today to bring in a good mood, but just a little, probably impossible to keep him in one place. He'd be chasing the cameras. Hi, Cecil. Hi, big boy. He doesn't seem to like the cameras much either, Cecil, so he starts getting a little weird when the cameras are up. I got to give him some attention. Hi, baby. Well, the first thing to bring up with cleaning is But you have to avoid commercial cleaners. Hello, Snowball. Hello. 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 Hello, boy. You need to avoid commercial cleaners. No chlorine, nothing that's aromatic. Anything that comes in a spray can, especially, you don't want to do. It's just like with fragrance, candles, anything that makes an odor, you have to be careful with. So you want to avoid all that in cleaning. Vinegar is good for taking like residue off of kitchen floors and that kind of thing, but it's not going to disinfect. So, hi Cecil, are you going to regurgitate for me? Aw, Cecil, thank you, boy. Usually you don't regurgitate for me. No, usually you don't. What a good bird. Oh, Snowball, you're a good boy too. Hi. So you want to avoid commercial cleaners, and what the number one thing we use to clean is poop off. So we use poop off to clean perches, to clean droppings from the carpet, to clean counters, to clean the tops of stoves. I haven't found a non-commercial product that works well at all as far as cleaning carpets. The best thing is the rug doctors that you can rent from a grocery store. And what we do there is we take 2 gallons of hot water, and the hotter you can get it, the better. Hot water. Then we add 1 cup of poop off to that, and we use it to clean the carpets. Now, I met the gentleman who years ago came up with poop off and ran it through extensive testing. He did 7 years of testing to make sure that the compound that he has is safe for birds. So, but he had someone complain that it had changed the color of her carpet. So it wasn't too far from where he is, and he was going to be up in that area. So he stopped by there, and he saw the spot and where it had left the spot on the carpet. And he said, "Well, excuse me, ma'am, but do you have a closet or someplace in here where the dogs don't roam around?" Because he saw a couple of dogs that are well known for dumping their hair. Right, Snowball? Yeah, good boy. Snowball. So she showed him a carpet, and by George, that light spot where the carpet was, where she cleaned it with the poop off, was the same color as the carpet in the closet. And it was dog hair on the carpet that had actually matted in and caused the color change. So I've used poop off on all kinds of things, and obviously I can't tell you it's going to never affect anything, but I've never seen it actually cause a problem on carpet. And I've used it on my clothing if I get poop on my clothing. It doesn't happen often. Once in a while Salamander will, because he has a twisted pelvis. And he's learning to hold it, but it's hard for him. It's hard for him to hold it, so once in a while I have to take off a spot where he's had a little accident on me, and it comes right off and there's no stain. Put it through the washing machine, you come out, you can't even tell there was a problem. So great stuff. I probably haven't enumerated every use for it, but it's great stuff. Now there's a lot of knockoffs on the market. A lot of different products that claim to be the same thing as poop off or do the same thing that poop off does. I tried a couple of them and they just don't seem to work. It's almost as if they're just fragrance water because they don't really seem to do anything. Where poop off definitely works. And it's not like I'm working for that company, but I really do believe in it. I believe in it so much I wanted to meet the owner because he doesn't live that far from here and talk to him about his product. So, we hope you will consider supporting us on Patreon today. This is how it works. We produce up to 2 videos a month. As a patron, you pledge to give us a donation. Whatever you feel is right and meets your budget. Patreon gives us your gift monthly. You can easily set a limit on how much you donate a month. You can change the amount of your pledge at any time. Your gift will allow us to continue bringing you entertaining and informative videos. Patreon.com/Chloe Sanctuary. We look forward to your participation in Cockatude. So obviously you need some spray bottles. It's also good that Poop Off makes this too. They have a bottle that has a brush on it, and it's a nice hard brush. And you just, once you wipe the poop off the carpet, and you just take and use that brush on your carpet and wipe it with, we don't use a cloth for that. We use paper towels whenever poop's involved. So then we just wipe it up with some paper towels, whatever residual. Most of that's sitting on the top of the carpet anyway. It doesn't really sink that far in. Now what we use to get that poop that's sitting on the carpet off is something that I made, but it's just basically it's a 3-foot dowel with a bent paint scraper on both ends. And on one side I have a sponge that's attached that I have attached by Velcro, so I can take one sponge off and throw another one on. And when I do that, I just cut a single sponge into 3 pieces. Hi, Snowball. Hi, Snowball. Hi. You're so talkative today. What a good boy. What a good boy. Yeah. So I cut them into 3 pieces. Then I use a hot glue gun to attach the Velcro to both ends. And then I have, I just pull off a sponge and put another one on and, clean it. And when it's dry, I stick it back on. And then I spray it with Poop Off. But the one end just has a bent piece, as you can see in the picture. So it has a little bent piece, and you can take that and either stick it under the poop and scoop up if it's a lot of poop and you want to lift it up, or you can just scrape over it and pull a snowball. And you can pull the poop off that way. And generally it just sticks to the end of the paint scraper. Then I wipe it off on a paper towel, and I take the Poop Off bottle with the brush and I brush the carpet. And I wipe it off with some paper towel and we're done. That little tool that I made comes in terribly handy because these birds tend to poop in the same areas, and there's a little carpet there, and it's really easy to clean up that way. And then what I'll do about once a week, depending on the weather, if it's warm outside I do this, if it isn't warm I don't, or if the humidity is too high, I just take the bits of carpet I have sitting on top of the carpet. They're just little pieces that sit where the birds poop when they're in a room, and I take them outside and just hose them down and let them dry in the sun. Let the sun clean them, and then bring them back in and throw them down again. And in the interim, I throw newspaper down where normally there would be carpet, so just to catch until those things are dried. It'd be nice if I had extra carpet, but you know how it is when you're doing rescue. You don't have extra, except maybe extra food, extra treats, that kind of thing. Cecil? What do you say, Cecil? Cecil bird? My Cecil. My Cecil. Look at that tongue. Look at that tongue. Oh, my good boy. So now, when you get a cage for the first time, and it's not a new cage, you don't have to do this with new cages. But with cages that you bought from somebody who had a bird, they no longer need the cage, or somebody gives you a cage, be sure it's the right size cage. You don't want a cage that's too small. And as someone said in Parrot Confidential, the right size cage for a macaw is 40 miles by 40 miles. But for a macaw, you'd want at least a 6-foot cage. The same with these guys. They really do need big cages. They may be smaller than a macaw, but they need room to move around. And they get busy like this one, who usually eats 2 toys a day, right? So there's a product by Mango, you can see in this picture. This particular cleaner You want to spray the cage outside in a well-ventilated area. You want to wear a mask. Heck, you should probably wear a, like a gas mask, but it's pretty nasty stuff. It says that it kills viruses. You spray it on there, leave it on there for 5 minutes, 5 or 10 minutes, and come back and spray it. You can let it sit for an hour or whatever, but come back with a hose and completely clean it off. Make sure you've got all the residue off. So spray it again until it's nice and clean, then dry it. And I'll usually go back over it quickly with poop off just to make sure it's perfectly clean. And the other thing is, sometimes you'll have cages, they'll have some gummy stuff on them. The bars won't be perfectly clean. You'll want to clean all that off before you spray it with the mango cleaner, which is meant to clean the viruses and that kind of stuff. You want to get the cage physically clean first. And the other thing is, once you've done that, you want to make sure that you're wearing gloves, and that the clothes that, when you get done with this process, the clothes that you've had on need to go in a special wash, preferably with chlorine. So if you wear whites or something that you don't mind chlorinating the heck out of, that's about the only time you're going to use chlorine. You want to avoid using chlorine anywhere around these guys, because their lungs can't handle it. Heck, I can't handle it. Having been with birds and breathing their feather dust for a decade now, my lungs, if I get right under chlorine, it almost knocks me out. So I know how they feel. With them, it can kill them. So you want to make sure that doesn't happen. But as long as your washing machine's outside and it's away from the house, then you can use chlorine. Otherwise, you're just going to wash them through a standard wash 2 or 3 times, preferably 3 times, to make sure that no residuals on it. This feather dust off a cage, or the leftover poop that may be hiding on a cage, can contain these coronaviruses that could kill these guys. So you want to make sure that all that's clean. So again, when you use that product, be sure you wear a mask. Preferably something that's going to help you not breathe it, okay? This is pretty nasty.
If you are enjoying our videos, we hope that you can find it in your heart to support our work. It costs between $25,000 to $30,000 a year to care for our flock of heartbroken and abused birds. Most of our birds came with feather destructive disorder. Even a basic exam with blood work costs $300. Medical emergencies cost us thousands a year. We are a non-profit, and donations are tax-deductible to the full extent of the law. We need your support. Birds deserve a happy and healthy life. Become our patron at www.patreon.com/Chloe Sanctuary to support us on a per-video basis, or donate at our webpage today.
An old cage that you're bringing in for a bird, you want to make sure that you clean it first and hit it with that mango product, and then I'd wipe it down with a little, poop off on a cotton towel. And we use 2 kinds of towels around here, or actually, we use 3 kinds of towels around here. We use the paper towel primarily for poop. If there's poop, we're using a paper towel. If it's something that needs to be wiped off a counter, that kind of thing, then I'm using a microfiber towel. And microfiber towels are great because they just tend to pull things off even if you don't have a cleaner on there. And then to wipe bowls down in the morning before I put food in them, what I'll do there is I use the cotton towels for that. I also use cotton towels to wipe my hands off so I can dry my hands while I'm cleaning or working and stuff. So now the way I work that is I'll have a cotton towel there that I use to dry bowls, but when it starts, after a couple of days, it will start to get a little bit moist. You don't want bacteria on there anyway, so then that becomes my hand wiping towel. And when that gets to look a little dirty, then it goes over into another pile, which is just for wiping off counters and that kind of thing. The microfiber towels, I leave one of those out to wipe down things like a spill of food on the floor, a spill of food on the counter. Anytime there's a spill or something I need to pick up, I'll use that. You can use them interchangeably, the cotton or the microfiber, but sometimes it's just a matter of what's close. I also keep one microfiber towel on the floor, like in the kitchen, just kind of stuck underneath the sink. And if water gets down there while I'm washing dishes, and that's the thing too, if you're washing dishes and you've got more than one bird, you've got a few bowls. We got a lot of bowls here. The night cages at night and the day cages during the day when they're not out. So it's a lot of bowls. But you really should get an apron, something that has pouches so that you can stuff things into it. Like you can have paper towels in there, and if you need a little, like a small bottle, like the 16-ounce bottle of poop off, you can jam one of those in there so that you can clean things, and a few maybe a microfiber towel and a cotton towel for cleaning. It helps while you're working, and then you don't want to get water all over the front of you while you're cleaning a bunch of bowls. So if you have a lot of birds, the dishwasher is probably not your best bet, especially if you can't open the windows, because dishwashers tend to send a lot of steam into the air, and you don't want mold in the air, so you don't want the area to get moldy. And that's one way to avoid it, is not to run a dishwasher. We'd have to run it 3 times with the number of birds we have, so we don't use one. We actually wash everything by hand now. We do have a dishwasher, and we use it to steam, basically to steam clean the dishes once a week is the idea. So we make sure that they're fully clean. So yes, we do use the dishwasher, but we don't use it every day because we want to make sure that we don't get too much moisture into the air. And here it's an old house. It can pick up the, it's a stucco-based house. It does tend to pick up the moisture, so. Right? Now when you go to clean carpets and you've had birds, it's most of this, whatever residual is in the carpet's going to be sitting pretty close to the top. So you're going to take a rug doctor and you're going to go over it, you're going to fill it with hot water, and then you're going to move over it slowly and have it spray the water down. I have a lever for that. And then you're going to go back and suck all that up. And you're basically just working that top level. And you'll go over it maybe 2 or 3 times. You'll see it get cleaner. And you move on to the next section and go back and forth 2 feet. And just keep doing that till you have the area clean. If your birds if you've got cages close to each other and there's poop in between there and you don't want to move the cages, you can get an attachment when you're renting it that'll help you get into those areas. And it works really well once you figure out how to hook it up, because they don't come with instructions. So if you're going to get one and you're even the least bit concerned about how that hooks up, I'm sure I can show you how. I think Rug Doctor probably has that on their website anyway, so you could look it up. I just looked at it, and after about 2 minutes I figured it out. So. All right, you guys, no fighting. Come here. No fighting. Now, you guys be nice. That's a good birds. That's good birds. Right, Peaches? Is that good birds? Yeah. Hi, Snowball. Hi, Sal. What you doing over there, Sal? Salamander. You're digging, huh? Okay. Another thing, too, as far as using poop off, with that the little bottle that has the little bottle that has the brush on it, if you have a perch where they've chewed into the perch and it's hard to clean in there, they get food into that area, if you take that brush and go in there, it cleans it right out. So something to think about. So we keep the sprayer, the little bottle with the brush, and a gallon for the basic use around here. One of the things too, which I failed to mention, we have these little mops we get from our local grocery store, but they're only about so long and they have a little mop head on them. It's not a very big mop head, it's your usual cotton mop. And what I did is I just took another piece of wood that's about 1.5 feet long and used duct tape to attach it to the handle, so I have this nice long little mop that I can use to do the bottom of the cages. And it works great. It cleans the cage. If you go around and do that, go around every cage and just take poop off on the end of a mop and wipe it over there, and then go back. So it's about 5 minutes from the initial wiping of the poop off on there, and you go over it, it comes right off. And then about once a month, you want to pull those bars out and clean underneath. You'll find if you're using a little mop like that, it doesn't get too dirty underneath, but still some things will still stick to the bottom of those bars, and you need to clean that up. As far as the base of the cage, when you pull that out and you take out the newspaper, and that's what you should use, is newspaper. Don't use anything like corn cob, or because they try to market that as, well, you don't have to clean it as frequently. Well, that's a problem. Because even though these guys don't have much in the way of bacteria inside their systems, that's why their poop doesn't have a smell. And if it did have a smell, you'd be running to the vet because something would be wrong. But it's a perfect medium for bacteria to grow in once it comes out. So you don't want anything sitting in corn cob or some other fancy stuff for days on end. Just put newspaper down there. There's another reason for the newspaper, and that's because when you go to clean it out in the morning, you can look down there and say, is the poop the right size? Is it the right color? Do we have equal amounts of urates and urine and feces? Where if you're using some stupid thing like, and I'm going to call it stupid, like cat litter, or, which is terrible, no one should ever use that for this situation, or corn cob or something like that, you can't tell. It's blended in there, and you don't know whether your bird's healthy or not. So it's unhealthy to use the stuff, and it makes it pretty hard to tell whether they're healthy or not by their poop. So just don't use it. So you pull the tray out, get the newspaper out of there, and then you want to spray with a little bit of poop off and wipe it off with a paper towel. I use a paper towel on the older cages because when you've got the older trays, some of the coloring will come off onto your towel, and that looks awful. So on the newer cages, that doesn't happen, where it still has a glazed look to it, where it's still kind of shiny. That doesn't happen, but when they've gotten dull, it does. So I use the paper towels on the dull trays, and on the newer catch trays, I actually use a microfiber towel. Right? Isn't that what I do? Oh, what did you say, Peaches? You have another verse to that song? You have another verse? Another verse to that song, baby girl? Now, when you're cleaning feeding syringes, you want to use soapy water. But the thing is, now with feeding syringes, and you can get these from Chris's Squirrels online. They actually have supplies for squirrels, but they do have the O-ring syringes. So for the larger birds, I like to use the 60 milliliter, but you could use a 30. Make sure they have the O-ring though. You don't want the one that has that big honking thing inside of it, and it's like a big gasket that goes inside these things. You don't want those. They don't last very long. One that has an O-ring lasts you a couple of years. Seriously, I have one that's lasted 2 years I'm still using. You clean them with hot soapy water, and then I rinse them off with a little vinegar water, because one thing vinegar can do is kind of pull off the nasty stuff that's left over, the soap residue. Dry it, rinse it with water, then dry it, and then take the O-ring and spray a little Pam. I use the Costco same thing, the non-stick sprays. Obviously you don't want to burn the room while you're spraying this stuff, but you're only going to go like this and get just a little bit on that O-ring and move it around with your finger. Move the plunger up inside the body a couple of times so you can feel it getting smooth. And that'll keep it supple, and that O-ring will last a long time. So You want to do that with your feeding syringes. Now with the medicine syringes, I try to use B&D for the smaller ones. They have a uniform delivery. In other words, you press on them and it takes an even amount of pressure to get them to squirt out whatever medicine you're giving your bird orally. With some of these other knockoff ones or the cheaper ones or other brands, you'll find that it either comes out too fast or it's too hard to press. These seem to be perfect. That's my personal preference though. And with those little ones, you don't really clean them. So if you're using them for medicine, you should have a little cap end. They do make cap ends for them, and you snap it on. So you load it up with whatever medicine it is and prepare it before you use it. You can stick that little cap on it. And then you can pull it off. You have to pull it off carefully though when you take those off, because if you just yank them off, you may pull some of the medicine out. So I just kind of wiggle them off. Now another thing that comes in real handy when you're cleaning is these 3-tiered carts. So you've got a cart where you can put your cleaning stuff on it, or you could have, you're taking your food out to your bird's cage. If you've got more than one bird, it's especially helpful. But even if you don't, it's nice because you can use the cart to do things like you can put toy parts on it and build your toys on the cart. It's just a mobile platform to do things with. So obviously having a rescue or a sanctuary, carts are essential. You don't want to be walking back and forth with bowls, huge distances. This helps you get them closer to their location where you're going to put them in the cage. And you can also take your cleaning supplies around on them, so you don't have to be running around with the cleaning supplies. Your paper can be there, and usually a little container, even a box, just something to have your newspaper in. And then your poop off and your different spray bottles and all that come with you. So you can also use the little hand carriers. If you got only one bird, you can get a hand carrier. You can buy these things at Harbor Freight. They usually have a 20% discount coupon that applies to anything, even if it's on sale. So a 3-tiered cart usually goes for $89, I think, and they go on sale. And with a coupon, you can get them for $40. So that's pretty good. You got to put the cart together. I would suggest that you don't do that on linoleum, though. Put it together somewhere where you're not going to scrape the floor, because they do have some sharp edges when you're putting them together. Since we're talking about Harbor Freight, that's where I get my power tools. I think I paid $50 for our drill press that cuts all the 3/8 holes and all the wood that we have for the toys. It's also where I got our saw that we use to cut 2x4s into 2x2s. And that saves a lot of money too, because if you're buying 2x4s and then cutting them in half, 2x4s are not expensive. If you can get clean ones, if they have any kind of odor to them, get the whitewood products from Home Depot. There's not much smell to those at all. I haven't smelled any chemical in them. There's going to be some chemical in all wood. There's going to be something. If there wasn't, there would be nasty stuff in the wood that you wouldn't want in your house anyway. So we are never going to get perfectly clean wood for these guys. It would be nice if we could get that and we knew it wasn't infected with bugs or bacteria or fungus or something, but that's not the way it works. We just have to use the best that we can get. So now this isn't really a cleaning issue, but it's something that I think is important, is that if you get a freezer, if you get a freezer where instead of the refrigerators we have with these stupid freezers, you open the door and all the cold air comes out. How dumb is that? I mean, what engineer thought, well, it sure would be nice if we could just take all that cold air and dump it out every time we open it. So you get a freezer, which is a standalone freezer, and you can put things into it and it'll stay a lot colder in there. Plus, you're not going to waste a bunch of electricity every time you open it. And then you can put some things that you need to use in your little refrigerator freezer. But keep in mind, that's going to keep getting warm, cold, where the freezer that's freestanding isn't going to do that. It's going to stay frozen and the cold air is going to stay in it. So little things, if you got frozen bread or that kind of stuff, you can put them in there. And as far as health, you need to clean your freezer at least every 3 months if you have a standalone freezer. And obviously you need to clean your refrigerator at least once a month. I use poop off for that too. Now the things we stock in that freezer, majority of it comes from Costco. We use their frozen vegetables, their frozen fruits. I used to buy the mixed frozen fruits. I don't do that anymore now. I buy the pineapple, the mango, and the triple berry mix. And then I take that and I mix it myself and put it into these gallon containers that I also get from Costco. You get those on sale. They're usually $10, and when they're on sale, they're like $7.50. So, and that's for a lot of them. That's 4 boxes. I take the fruits that I bought separately and I mix them together myself. And I found out that's a little bit less expensive, and it seems like that they're better that way. I don't know, something about packaging them and sending them and keeping them mixed together does something to the flavor that if you mix them yourself, it doesn't seem to happen. So, as far as keeping things fresh, I keep all their little treats and their food in 5-gallon containers from Home Depot. And the one with their treats and that kind of thing, I'll dump everything out, and once a month I'll wash it with hot soap and water, and then wipe it out, and then I'll get it with vinegar water, or just spray vinegar in there and wipe it out, dry it out, and put everything back in. With their food, a 25-pound bag, it drops right into one of those, tightly into one of those Home Depot 5-gallon containers, and then I open the top of it and I seal it with the lid. The smaller items, like their pine nuts and their banana chips and their sunflower seed treats, and they get the roasted unsalted sunflower seeds. I put all those into quart bags if I buy the big bags off of Amazon. I do that once in a while when I can't get the ones from nuts.com. And when I say can't, I don't want to pay the $20 or $25 in freight to get it out to us. About twice a year, nuts.com will offer, if you're buying from them fairly regularly, they'll offer you no shipping charge if you buy $75 worth of nuts. So that's when I'll usually do it, and I usually get anywhere from $125 to $150 worth. Because they like their special stuff, don't you? He likes his papaya, don't you? And he likes walnuts. So I try to make sure he always gets the walnuts from there, because they seem to be better, less chance of them being kind of rotten in the shell. They come from nuts.com. Now, with nuts.com, the nice thing is their bags actually usually seal, so you don't have to use a bag that you bought from Costco or Sam's Club or something like that. You don't have to use another bag. That saves you a little bit of money, but most other companies, their so-called self-sealing bags, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe you have to go to a class somewhere they teach you how to do this, or you have to be a specialist in bag sealing, because if you seal it, you come back and you see it's not sealed. So that's true of the blueberries too from Costco. They just don't seal, and Peaches loves them, so they go into 3-quart bags. It's about £1 per bag. So, right, Peaches? She says, "Yep, I gotta have my blueberries. I gotta have my blueberries, Dad. I like my blueberries." You're about the only one around here who likes blueberries. Another important issue, it's a safety-related issue for them, is having HEPA filters running. Now, there's no HEPA filter running in here right now. There will be later when the cameras are off, but there isn't one right now. And this may seem strange, but their own feather dust isn't good for them to breathe. They'll get their nares clogged, and it's not good for them. In the wild, that dust would be going into the air, and they wouldn't get much of it. But in a house like this, in rooms that are isolated, that dust gets pretty strong in the air, as our fast food Cockatude #1 talks about buying food safely. Well, that's because there's so much dust in the air. So you need to run a HEPA filter. We have the big circular ones. They're like Hamilton Beach, but we've got these big circular ones that we run at night. And a black filter, the pre-filter that goes around the outside of the HEPA filter, run for 3 days and will be completely white. About every 3 days, I have to take that black filter out and beat it outside and put it back in. And about once a month, I need to replace those filters. That's how quickly these guys fill them up. It's for their own health as well as yours. And the feather dust, if you were to look at it under a microscope, is more like a fishing hook. Okay? It's used by the feather. When the feather, hi sweetie, can I lift your wing up? Thank you. When these come together, when the feathers come apart and you pull them together like this, that's actually the same kind of hook that dust has in it, and it hooks the feather together. So you can imagine what that does to your lungs. So in the winter, here's another issue, along with the HEPA filters, is if you've got heaters, little portable heaters that have a fan, then you're going to need to blow those things out about once a month if you have a couple of cockatoos. Parrots, not so much, but with cockatoos you'll need to. Because what will happen is that dust from these cockatoos will get inside the heater and get stuck in there. And after a while, the heater will start to smell like burning cockatoo dust. And the reason it smells like that is because it is burning cockatoo dust. So if you take it outside, don't do this inside. You will be so shocked. Just don't do it inside. You take it out and take a vacuum cleaner, take the discharge hose where the air is blown out, or use a blower, like the kind to blow leaves, and just go to the front of it and hit it with that thing, and you'll see just a mass of dust come out. Then go to the back side and do it, and back and forth until it's clear. That's important because you really don't want burning cockatoo dust in the air, do we? No, we don't want to burn anything, do we? I just had to do that this morning too. I noticed, even though I cleaned it out recently, I noticed the heater had a funny smell to it. Which comes to the point, if you're going to buy heaters, buy the radiator type. The freestanding radiator type, like the one we have over here. Because cockatoo dust is not going to, you'll see it on the outside, but it's not going to get inside of it. And you don't have a hot element that this dust can sit against. These get warm, they get hot underneath, but they don't have a place for that dust to really get in and get stuck inside the unit. So now another cleaning thing is clean water. Now if we were to go and buy 5-gallon bottles of water, our cost here would be roughly, our cost here would be about $700 a year if we were buying water off the shelf. Because you're talking 365 days, $2 a 5-gallon bottle, and you'd have to have a 5-gallon bottle for every day. Because that's how much we go through here in a day. 5 gallons of water for these birds. For cooking, for their bowls, for everything else. So if you want to save money and get good clean water, you can buy a self-contained RO unit. If it's just you and a small family, you can buy the one that goes under the sink and have somebody install it. And it'll put a little tap on your sink if there's an extra spot for it. And then the water will come out there rather slowly, or you can do what we did, which we bought a unit that it discharges from a hose, and we dump it right into a 5-gallon bottle that we have a cap on it with a hole. So what that does is it gives us a 5-gallon of purified water. And the other thing is, if you're going to do your own purification, you need to get one of the little water testers, and we'll try to put that in the show notes. The place where we bought our water filters also has the little testers. They're like $30, but our water here is roughly 500 parts per million coming out of the tap. And since it was built in 55, some of that's lead, some of that's other chemicals that are, who knows what's in there, chloramine, all that stuff. So what the RO unit does is it goes through a pre-filter, that filters out the chlorine and some of the other solids that are in the water. Then it goes through a membrane, and the semi-permeable membrane only allows the water to pass through, not the solids. So on an RO unit, for example, if there's any lead in the water, it's going to purify about 94% of the lead out of the water. And then most of the other chemicals and everything else are going to be gone using that process. And when you buy water in the stores, it's either reverse osmosis water, like we make, or it's going to be distilled, one or the other. So sometimes they'll also run it through a UV lamp to kill any potential bacteria, that kind of thing. But that's another reason why you want the water tester, because if you've got the tester, you can replace those filters on not just a regular schedule, say every 3 months. You can actually look at it and say, well, this can go another month because I'm still sitting at 10 parts per million. So if you've got an incoming 500 parts per million of junk in your water, and you're showing 10 on your meter that you're now at 10, when it starts going 11, 12, you know you need to replace your filters, get them out of there and put in new filters. So they're not expensive. To change out the filters is going to cost you like $25. So most people will go 6 months before they have to replace the filters. And you think about it, you're paying $40 for a year. Every 3 years, for most people, they're going to replace the membrane, which is another $30. So, and with what's been happening in certain places, as I'm sure you know, people have had some water problems that are affecting their children and everything else. Well, this is the same way to go. Make it yourself and test it to make sure it's good using a water tester, and you're good. And it's good for your birds too, right? What do you think, Cecil? What do you think, Cecil? Cecil the bird? Cecil the bird? Cecil bird. Oh, there's my Cecil. There he is. Cecil bird, Cecil bird. Cecil bird, Cecil bird. Cecil bird, Cecil bird. Cecil bird. What a good boy. Bob, you're a good boy too. Hey, Cecil. My Cecil bird. Oh, I love you. You're a good boy. You know that, though. Now, another thing you don't want around is these little fluorescent lights with the mercury inside them. And obviously, if you break one of those, mercury, it's not going to be much, but some mercury vapor is going to get in the air, and you don't want that around these guys. You also don't want little tiny shards of glass. So what we use are LED lights, and they'll cost you, you're getting down now. You can get a equivalent to a 75 watt for about $10. That seems like a lot, but they last for 22,000 hours compared to 1,000 hours. Hi, hello, Snowball. Hello, Snowball. Good boy. Yes, you are a good boy. Yes, you. Hello, Snowball. Hi, Shug Shug. You having fun up there? How about a tail flash? Want to give me a tail flash, Shug Shug bird? Yeah, the Shug Shug bird. I love you, little girl. You're a good girl. Oh, Peaches, don't get mad at me now because I'm talking to Sugar. So, to avoid that nastiness, you can get the LED lights. And they come in different flavors. I like the 4500, which is more of a natural outside type of light, which is the light we're using in here. We've got two 4500s up there, and they're both 75 equivalent watt. I think we're running about 32 watts right now in lights in this room, which isn't bad considering it's pretty bright in here, so we can do this. So hello, Snowball. So to avoid the broken glass and the mercury vapor in the air, that kind of thing, the LED lights make sense. In the long run, they're going to save you money. And if you want to be nuts, you can buy this ones that you can control. Hi, Snowball. That you can control with your phone and change the lighting from your phone and all that. that's cool if you want to do it. It'd be nice in here because we could, tone it down for the movies. We just put on the little lamp back here, which is also LED. We have a 40-watt LED over there that we turn on just to watch the movies. Or normally when we have some sunlight coming in, which we don't do for these videos, we don't have any sunlight in here. Well, a little bit, but we don't have it streaming in. We use just a little 40-watt. Be nice to have the ones that change colors so I could mess with the bird's head. Right? Nah, don't mess with the birds. Right, Snowball? We don't mess with the birds. Now, another thing that's essential, and it's a safety issue with the birds, is to have a generator. We had someone buy us one, and I was totally paranoid before we had it. If the power goes out, you know that you can keep things that are frozen. If it's the middle of the summer and you have a big enough generator, you can keep your freezer running, your refrigerator, and the air conditioning. In the winter, in places where it gets really cold, it's nice to have a generator so that if you need heat, you can get it. You don't want to freeze to death if the power goes out. Living in California, I didn't realize that you guys who live on the East Coast, sometimes you go days without power. We rarely ever have that situation here. So a generator is a great thing to have. There's two kinds. There's the freestanding generator, and then there's the one you're going to hook into your electrical system. If you hook it into the electrical system, though, you have to tell your electrical company when you're doing that. The reason being, there could be somebody out working on a line if the power goes out, and you're generating electricity that may get to them. So they want to know. So you check with your local electricity company about that. Now, as far as vacuuming to clean things up, we use a canister vacuum. With these guys, most of it's fairly large chunks of things that hit the floor, so we use a canister. We use the one made by Rigid, and it's a 12 amp, so it's got a big hose on it. We're talking a 3-inch hose on it, so it takes a lot of wood to jam it. So some of the big pieces of wood will get caught up in the connectors inside of it sometimes, but a canister, you'll find that a canister is going to save you a lot of heartaches. If you're pushing around one of those vacuum cleaners that's so popular today that has a little container inside to catch everything, but there's no bag, you're probably going to find it just jammed all the time with wood pieces, so canister is the way to go. Dragging a little canister behind you, some people don't like doing that, but I think you'll find that if you've got birds that you're letting chew, as they should, if you've got birds that are chewing up wood and the wood's hitting the floor, a canister vacuum is going to work better. Plus, it also tends to pick up the dust a lot better. It's going to get more of the dust off the carpet and less dust in the air from when you're walking around, because the cockatoo dust will settle, and when you're walking around on it, you can stir some of it up. The canister will also tend, since they have hooks in them, the suction is strong enough, if you get a good one, that it will pull out. It'll actually tend to pull the dust off the floor, where, since it's got hooks, it's going to take a lot of suction to do that. The other thing about a canister, or any vacuum that you have, you want a HEPA filter in it. You want to make sure that you're not blowing dust that you're picking up off the floor back into the air, because they don't need to breathe it, and you don't need to breathe it. Right, Seesaw? Isn't that true? What do you think? What do you think? He has a thing about me talking to the camera. You do, don't you? You just I don't want you doing that. Why are you talking in midair? Are you nuts? He thinks I'm nuts. Do you think I'm nuts? And the last little thing, I'm sure there's things I missed, but the last little thing is you need an exhaust fan. A big fan it's a high-powered fan in case something happens in the house. Once in a while, we all make a mistake, or the toaster doesn't work right and it burns something and you got smoke in the air. So if you have a big exhaust fan, the kind that they use when they're you have a flood or something, that will just blow over the carpet to blow the water out, that's what you need. So it's a big high-velocity fan. You set it up. Now, like in here, we often have the windows just locked down, and it gets hot or cold in here. and we don't get the windows open that much because we have like the air conditioner over here. To open that window is a major pain in the rear, and the one over on the other side has got a computer on it. Opening that one's a pain in the rear. So what I do is I get the windows in the bathroom and the windows in the the night bird room. I get them open and I put that high velocity fan here at the door, and it just blows, it just sucks all the air out of here, and it creates a kind of a vacuum and pulls the air out. That's how I clean the air in this room. And then of course the HEPA filters get the dust out. So while I'm using that, I tend to have the HEPA filter going because it's tending to stir up dust too, so you make sure those HEPA filters are running. Right? Right? So that's our take on cleaning things. I'm sure I've left some things out, but that's some things to think about. And did you want to be the one to say goodbye? Who wants? Hey, you haven't said goodbye. Come here. Come on. Come over here and say goodbye to the people. Say Snowball. This has been Cockatude 36. Right? It has? Yeah. It's Snowball. You say Snowball? Say goodbye to the people. He says, no, I'm getting preened by everybody now. Getting preened by everybody. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
We welcome your feedback on our videos. We look forward to your insights, tips, questions, stories, and pictures. You can email us at cockatude@chloesanctuary.org, reach us on Twitter @ChloeSanctuary, and join with us on our Facebook Chloe Sanctuary page.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.